Question is this. Punt or go, Patrick Mahomes is already better than Tom Brady. David, punt or go?
Punt. Thinking that Patrick Mahomes is already greater than Tom Brady, that's a great example of recency bias, prisoner of the moment type mentality. I mean, Tom Brady has more Super Bowl victories than any one single franchise. Do I need to repeat that? Do you know how insane that is? More than any one franchise in the NFL has. And what's the knock on these other quarterbacks around the AFC, like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson? Well, they can't beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. Well, you know who could? Tom Brady. Patrick Mahomes couldn't beat him. Brady's 2-0 against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, and one of those was a Super Bowl. In fact, that's Patrick Mahomes' only Super Bowl loss is against that guy right there, Tom Brady. Now, I think you can make a case that Patrick Mahomes would be a Hall of Famer right this second if he retired. I think you could make a strong case for that. But I think you could make a better case that Tom Brady could be a 3-time Hall of Famer. If you split that guy's 21-year career up into 7-year increments, you could make the case that he would make the Hall of Fame 3 times. Certainly 2 different times if you split his career in half. That is absolutely insane to me. Patrick Mahomes may get there. He's going to be the closest that we've seen. But right this second, he's not there.
All right, Jake. Nice job, David. Patrick Mahomes is already better than Tom Brady. You punting? Or are you keeping the offense on the field?
David, I love you, but you're wrong. I'm going on this. And I'm going to give it to you 3 different ways. You brought up 3 different points of his career. I'm going to give it to you 3 different ways. First, I'm going to give you the statistical way. All right? In their first 8 seasons, I'll go through the numbers. Patrick Mahomes has almost 1,000 more passing yards than Tom Brady. Patrick Mahomes averages almost 50 more passing yards per game. Patrick Mahomes has 48 more passing touchdowns than Tom Brady. He has 12 less interceptions. He has almost 1,500 more rushing yards than Tom Brady, averages 5 yards more on every rushing attempt, has 9 more rushing touchdowns. And when you look at fantasy point percentage, he is absolutely murdering him, and we know how important that is. But let's get to championships and honors. Through their first 8 seasons, both have 3 Super Bowls. Patrick Mahomes, both have 3 championships. Patrick Mahomes has been to 6 Pro Bowls. Tom Brady's been to 4. Patrick Mahomes has been All-Pro 3 times. Tom Brady only twice. Patrick Mahomes, AP MVP twice. Brady once. AP Offensive Player of the Year. They both have 1. And Patrick Mahomes has 3 Super Bowl MVPs, and Tom Brady only has 2. And to be honest with you, I'd rather have to defend Tom Brady because he can't run. And when it comes down to who can diversify the portfolio the most out of the pocket, inside the pocket's a good argument, but outside the pocket, give me Patrick Mahomes. At the end of the day, the stats show it. This is equal. This is right next to each other. And don't give me the errors argument at all. They played against each other in the Super Bowl, bruh.
Yeah, and who won that? Tom Brady won that.
Yes.
All right, I love it. I love it.
Patrick Mahomes can't beat this guy when it really matters, and that'll never go away.
All right.
Beat him when he was an infant.
Down, fellas. I'm going to get a spray bottle out here so I can end the argument. All right, the next one.
Got a whole bag of shh.
Talk a little AFC West here, fellas. AFC West. You want to go ahead and do this one? Or you want to, let's go ahead and stick here. Pete Carroll just got hired at the Raiders. All right, and you know the hate between him and Jim Harbaugh. This is the punt or go question. Pete Carroll versus Jim Harbaugh will be the best rivalry in the NFL. Dave, are you punting? Or are you going?
No, I'm going for that. I want this again. Can we bring up this breakdown here? Jim Harbaugh turned down the largest NFL contract in history so he could, quote, beat Pete Carroll again. In 2007, Jim Harbaugh led Stanford team beat Pete Carroll and USC 24-23, already up 1-0. SC came back the next year, 45-23 with Mark Sanchez, tied at 1-0. Stanford the next year, 55-21. Look at these guys right here. That was with Andrew Luck. Harbaugh up in the head-to-head 2-1. And then they go, and Pete Carroll becomes the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. Jim Harbaugh goes to the 49ers. But before that, Dolphins owner Stephen Ross offered Jim Harbaugh the highest coaching salary of all time, but he took the 49ers job instead, saying, I want to beat Pete Carroll again. Right now, their head-to-head is 6-6, and you're going to put both these guys in the same division again. I cannot wait for this. When was the most physical matchups that we've seen in the NFL in quite a while with those 49ers teams and those Seahawks teams when they were in the same division, and one of those guys faced off, one of those guys led their team to the Super Bowl in the NFC for 3 straight years when they were in the same division.
All right, Jake, Pete Carroll versus Jim Harbaugh will be the best rivalry in the NFL. Are you punting or are you going?
Well, Mama's wrong again. I'm punting on this. To be a great rivalry, all I've heard David Cohn talk about when it's come to Ohio State, Michigan, and Auburn, Alabama is the teams have to be good. There's got to be something on the line. It has to matter. Yeah, you can have history and tradition in the past, just like Stanford and Cal, but nobody cares about that game anymore because they're both cheek water. At the end of the day, until the Chargers have showed some improvement. You got Justin Herbert. The Raiders are going to go get their guy. Until those teams are relevant again and postseason and championship and division relevant again, it's not going to matter. That's great that they hate each other. They probably still hate each other, but there needs to be on-the-field consequences for the team that loses this game. And right now, even though Pete Carroll I thought was a great hire, I don't see it. The Raiders have a long hill to climb. Hate fuels it a lot. Hate can fuel it a lot. But until the on-the-field product matters because both teams are good, this is not even going to be close to the Chiefs or the Bills or the Ravens or the Bills or the Ravens and the Chiefs. I can go, or even the Bengals and the Steelers right now. So I'm putting on that maybe down the road, and I hope so, David. I hope it gets back to be good.
Well, the argument that you make for the Iron Bowl is like, it doesn't matter how many times Alabama's better than Auburn. It's about the hate. It's about the hate that's in their heart. Those two guys hate each other. They told J.J. McCarthy when he came and interviewed for the Seahawks, better be glad Pete's not still the head coach or you might not be in this room right now. Those two guys hate each other. I cannot wait for them to face off in the AFC West.
I want to see who Pete Carroll goes and gets a quarterback. I really want to see that. Because the Raiders, they do have some pieces, though. That's what I said. Brock Bowers, really not. When you talk about exciting white,
yeah.
I mean, you walk into the vineyard. You walk into the vineyard.
I mean, they have. I mean, Brock Bowers and Max Crosby.
That is
two
true.
Exciting whites.
Yeah, you walk into the vineyard.
Yeah.
You go to the white section. That's exciting. Both of them are exciting.
All right, fellas, y'all get to the third one right here?
All right, yeah, I'll hit you guys with the third one here. We want to talk a little South Carolina football because head coach Shane Beamer has signed a contract extension through 2030. His salary is going to go up to $8.15 million this upcoming season, and then each year it will increase by $100,000 so that he is at $8.65 million on the final year of that deal. Obviously, we're big Shane Beamer fans here personally. But what I want to say to you guys is Shane Beamer, under this new contract here, will win the SEC while at South Carolina. Jake, you going to punt that or go for that?
I'm going for it. And this may not be popular because South Carolina hasn't been one of the big dogs in the SEC and really hadn't done that much outside of Shane having a couple good years since they had Spurrier. But Shane Beamer, when you look at the young talent they have, when you look at how kind of exciting it is to play for him, how guys gravitate toward him, Lenoris Sellers, up-and-coming star, Dylan Stewart, up-and-coming star. Recruits are flocking to South Carolina. I've personally had to coach against them up at that place, and it can get absolutely rocking. All they need is a little bit of confidence. And we talk about all this parity and the shifting around of college football. It has never been a better time for South Carolina to ascend to the top. And by extending him, what do you give yourself? It's the fleeting thing in college athletics, stability. There's no questions about whether Shane Beamer's going to be fired, whether he's not going to be there, or whether he's going to take another job. I think Shane is comfortable in South Carolina, and I think they're hungry. Damn it, I think Gamecock Nation is ready to rock and roll, but you got to have the players to do it. And maybe Shane's best quality, he knows ball, but recruiting as a head coach, he'll grind it, he understands it, he can win a living room, and they got some young stars. South Carolina's coming, boys.
South Carolina as SEC champs. Seems crazy to think about. You going to punt that or go for that?
Yeah, I'm punting this.
I'm shocked.
I mean, one, I like Shane Beamer a lot, although you never sent us that helmet. I'm so pissed off about it. The amount of depth that the SEC has, and there's so many good teams here, I just don't see South Carolina just automatically rising to the top of this. Let's be honest here. Alabama, they're going to be better here in the coming years. Florida, you would think so. I mean, DJ Lagway, they're going to be better. I mean, Tennessee with a freshman quarterback, Oklahoma, all these new teams, Texas, Georgia. South Carolina is a good football team. Lenoris Sellers is a young quarterback. He's been going through the sophomore year. But there is too much talent, and there's too much depth just to think South Carolina is going to rise to the top. Georgia made the playoffs this year. In my opinion, they had a down year when it comes to football teams. The great ones, the blue bloods in the SEC, will always be there. And I don't think one magical year with Lenoris Sellers and all these other pieces is going to get you an SEC championship. I think if we could talk about maybe South Carolina making the playoff one year in the 5 years, I might go for that. But winning an SEC championship, beating Texas, beating Georgia, beating all the LSU, who was somewhat down this year, I don't see it happening.
Well, these days you can make a playoff run without even winning your conference.
Exactly.
So is that more likely? Like, is it more likely Shane Beamer leads South Carolina to a Final Four or to a national championship, even more so than winning the SEC?
Well, if we say Final Four, I still think it's that's more likely because you only got 2 teams that can play in the SEC championship game, and obviously a 12-team playoff. You're much more likely to make that than be one of the final 2 teams in the SEC championship game and win it. But to win it, you've got to have that star. You've got to have that guy that is different than all those other guys, or at least he is at the tippity top of the elite at the quarterback position. I can go back and look at Auburn had a guy when they won a national championship in 2010. His name was Cam Newton. Now, I don't think Lenora Sellers is Cam Newton, but Lenora Sellers has amazing potential. He can get as damn near close to single-handedly winning you a game with his ability. I think he's only going to get better. I think he's a high IQ passer, and great players flock to what? Great talent. And the better Lenora Sellers plays, the more wide receivers are going to want to come on in there. Look at some of the other guys. Nicholas Harbor. Nicholas Harbor go run for the United States in the Olympics right now, and he's like 6'4".
That's great and all, and I understand that, but where's the offensive line been?
I think it's getting better.
It's been terrible.
I think it's getting better. I think Lenora Sellers makes the offense.
Well, I know, but what wins you week in and week out?
The trenches. But then look on the defensive side of the ball. Look at what South Carolina put out this past year on the defensive line.
But there's 2 sides
They were
of the ball.
headbutting and chewing through fences, and I don't think that's about to stop.
But there's 2 sides of football.
There's 3
and if
sides.
you're going to win an SEC championship, not only do you need the quarterback and a piece of receiver, a piece of running back, you have to be elite up front on both sides of the ball. And South Carolina hasn't done that yet with Shane.
I think that's what they've been building, though, with Shane.
We'll see.
Yeah, we will see. Hey, appreciate you guys being here. If you do not mind, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and keep sharing the show.